degree programs. And specifically, Christina, Ty, and I intentionally ordered this a long time ago when we started working closely together in presenting information, because we sometimes see overlap between these two and these two in people's questions, not usually between these two. So I'll try and kind of provide some buffer conversation between the ones before and after counseling too. So a little bit of the program overview. As I mentioned, it is a full-time Portland. It's a full-time program at the Portland Center campus. Social work and counseling are at the Portland Center. Psyche is in Newburgh, and counseling has the option to do some or all of your classes in Sohlman, actually, depending on which program you're in. But that's where we're all kind of located. It's a 2-year program, social work, 62 credits. Currently, that's the only option, is the full-time 2-year program. Your schedule, kind of week to week, is a mixture of coursework and clinics, field site. I'm trying to remember their language. Field experience days, some of the days of the week. There are 2 advanced concentrations. You can go the route of direct practice, which is focused on working with clients, individuals, families, children, adults, in a more one-on-one way. Or you can go the route of community practice, which puts you working in a partnership capacity with community agencies, other social services. So there's kind of 2 directions you can end up going. You will do 2 different field internships in the program, 450 plus hours, emphasis on the plus. I think 450 might be the minimum required for licensure, but it's over 1,000 hours of experience in the program. And it's definitely designed to pursue licensure as an LCSW, a licensed clinical social worker. And then the accrediting body, which we talked about, is the Council on Social Work Education, and our program is accredited by CSW. Our faculty in our social work program have some really interesting areas of expertise. We have someone who works closely with students interested in agency oversight, especially those community practice-oriented students. We have someone with a gerontology focus, which is sometimes a kind of a unique and specific interest area. Similar to counseling, social justice is a core value in our social work program as well, and sometimes populations that fall in that specialization of gerontology are really underserved, don't have a lot of access to resources. We have experience in our faculty with juvenile criminal justice, play therapy, which looks a little bit different in the social work world than it does in the counseling and therapy world. And then an amazing evaluation tool that was developed by one of our faculty members here at George Fox called Ramse, and it is a way to evaluate the health and mental kind of community, social mental resilience of individuals and communities, as far as I'm remembering correctly, that has to do with a spiritual index and integrated into some of the other measurements of development and health and resiliency. I could not get a hold, or I didn't have a chance to reach out to Christina or Michael to have them refresh my memory. I just remember being so excited about when I heard them explain. So if that has tipped your interest, please follow up with Michael, because I think I may have butchered that explanation, but that's the best I can do, and it's really exciting. We have some who are more research focused in their work on our faculty, substance abuse, and then trauma neurobiology. The admissions requirements are listed here. You do need 1 term of life science and statistics at 1 year. Oh, I got a new tab. 2 references, similar to counseling, an academic and professional reference, and official transcripts. And then July 1 is when applications open for the following fall, like a year later. And January 1, or December 1 is the early deadline, and the interviews are in January. And then March 1 is the final deadline with interviews for those applicants in late March. So a little bit about the interview process. There are both group and individual components to the interview for the MSW program. The interview days begin with a group session. There's a professor or moderator that gives you some prompts, and applicants dialogue and interact. And And then the second portion of the day has a written component and an individual interview with the faculty member. So usually, kind of 9 to 12 is the time frame for that interview day, and then admissions decisions come within the next week.
Can I add something?
Yes.
So on RSVPs for tonight's event, there were some questions that we received ahead of time from attendees, and I'm not sure if the person who asked these questions is here tonight, but I thought I would address them. So a question that we received was, for someone who wants to do international humanitarian work, would a social work degree or a PsyD benefit them? So today, I consulted with our PsyD faculty about this to get their opinion. And what I learned was really interesting. If your goal is to do international work, humanitarian work, you're better served by a social work degree than by a PsyD. Because typically, and across the board in other countries, a PsyD is not needed to do that work, and it's not known as well. So anyway, in case someone is in here that was asking about the comparison, we would encourage you, if that's your goal, to do international work, to look at a social work preparation for that.
And I would add that the social work route is even in a U.S. or domestic context is going to have the most overlap with community development work. Also, we have a international development class with the econ catalog at George Fox, if that's of interest to you. I just be personally familiar with that. But in general, social work would probably be a route. Common question is, if I want to become a counselor, how do I know if I should become an LCSW or maybe an LPC, a licensed professional counselor, or an LMFT? If you are somebody who thinks they might want to do some counseling, but you really have a broader picture for doing community development, advocacy work, case management, or community organizing, and you're interested in helping an individual navigate primarily their outer world and building resiliency, seeing them empowered to address their own individual access to resources, their community capital, I'm going to call it that. That's probably a good fit, a social work degree. Counseling and therapy, a master's in counseling and therapy is to prepare you for doing 100% counseling all day, every day. That's your goal, you're a therapist. To put it really in kind of a blunt comparison, you'll do 2 years at least of counseling training to be a counselor. You might do 2 classes in a social work degree. So if your route is to set up private practice as a counselor, it's not recommended that you do an LCSW. You're going to be acquiring a lot of other background that you may not be planning to use and missing out on a lot of mental health training that a master's in counseling is designed to provide. So on that note, the Graduate School of Counseling offers 4 different degrees. The Master's in Clinical Mental Health Counseling can be done in 2, 3, or 4 years, KCREP accredited. Also the only degree that can be completed completely in Salem. And it leads to licensure as an LPC or licensed professional counseling. This is the best route if you envision yourself working with adults primarily, maybe in one-on-one or group therapy settings, not children, not families. I have seen some graduates of our program choose their elective credits that dip into the couples therapy work because that's still kind of in the adult population realm, but not typically a specialization for someone with an LPC. There is not a huge difference in where people from these 2 programs or these 2 licensures work in terms of setting. The difference is in who you're working with and the type of population you're working with. Master's in Marriage, Couple, and Family Counseling has a 3 or a 4-year option, and a really unique opportunity here at George Fox is the opportunity for dual licensure, where you can qualify for both your LPC and your LMFT license. This is the route if you anticipate that you might want to do counseling for children, for families, and for couples. Haley, can I ask you to speak a little bit to how you kind of got to be familiar with both of those and figured out your fit?
Yeah. So I started in the marriage, couple, and family counseling specifically because of the dual licensure, because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I always had a suspicion that I wanted to do clinical mental health, but I was like, oh, I'll just go with the dual licensure so I can figure it out. I'm in my first marriage, couple, and family class this semester, and it definitely reassured me that I do want to work with individuals, specifically with mental health struggles. And so, yeah, I think it just solidified for me what population I want to work with, and
you need your elementary license.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it just isn't really applicable to get the MFT, so that's why I switched it.
Thank you, that's helpful. And it's different than psyche, different than social work. We have these 4 programs housed under the same department, and there is flexibility to be in them and figure it out and be in class and talk to faculty members and classmates and figure out if there's one that's a better fit for you, and it's not a reapplication process. It's an internal program switch. So these are the 2 programs that are, I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit, that are designed to work in all these various places here. School counselors are licensed specifically to work with K-12 populations in elementary, middle, or high schools and the entire student population. School psychologists are specifically trained in testing and assessment for eligibility to provide access to resources for special education and other related services, so they tend to work pretty much with special needs population. So backing up a little bit then, the Master's in School Counseling, 2 or 3 years, truly a blended role you're preparing for both mental health professional and educational leader, and leads to your school counseling license. And then the EDS or education specialist degree in school psych, and leads to your school psych license. The internships, as I mentioned, are 20 hours a week in your final year for CMHC. We call them an MCFC. We have over 100 partner sites that are already ready to receive interns if they have an opening that year. They're all set up and approved by us. And school counseling students give their internship placement preferences and are placed in a similar way to student teachers in our undergrad and degree completion programs. School psychs do a full-time internship their final year. And the 2 things I'll briefly mention, it's a little hard. I always feel bad, but it's harder to cover 4 degree programs. So it's really hard. Our Trauma Response Institute is a post-grad certificate program that allows our students to take post-grad level trauma courses as master's students, either towards an eventual certificate or not. You can start it and finish it after you graduate, or get creative and finish it at the same time as your master's degree. But even if you don't do that, there's conferences and workshops available through the Trauma Response Institute that you can come back to for continuing education. Yes.
We had an incoming question about this too. Can someone outside of the counseling world, let's say a psyche student, social work student, can they have any involvement in the Trauma Response Institute?
These would be great places to connect because those are independent offerings that are not course credit. So you can register for that event, and it's not going to create a registrar catalog question of taking a class.
Is there any way to become certified, have a trauma certification through this institute outside of the counseling degree path?
Yes, as long as you have a graduate level degree in mental health. So quite a few people, like we had 3 incoming certificate students this year that already have their master's in mental health or their doctoral degree and are coming just with a certificate. So it's a post-grad option too. So. Let me read the room. How much interest do we have in play therapy? Okay, but we're gonna skip that because it's okay, great. So I would share with you from the counseling perspective. We do not have a cohort model, so our process is different. We don't have a certain number of spots that we have to fill or that we have to cap out at. So you are not competing for a spot, which is different than PsyD, different than even other counseling programs out there. You are presenting your individual readiness for the program, and really all areas are equally balanced in what's considered. There's no one thing that's going to keep you from being prevented or keep you from being admitted as an automatic deal breaker, and there's no thing that's an automatic golden ticket into the program. So I'd be happy to talk about this more with you one-on-one, but I just want to be clear that our process is a little bit, our admissions process is a little bit different. And this is probably more similar to social work's process as well, even though they do have a core model and they do have limited space, they have a pretty holistic approach in their admissions process. Our group interview event, the dates are set, so you should know when that date is for the term you're applying for. It's a series of small group activities. I'd be happy to elaborate on those for anyone who has questions, but there is a brief one-on-one interview at the end. Maybe we'll circle back to those questions after you've had a chance to talk about SID, about interview questions in general. Okay.
All right. I realized that in this room I talked to many of you about the logistics of the SID program and a lot of details. So I'm going to actually keep my overview fairly brief because I would love to spend as much time as we can with our students, with Kyle and with Haley. So I'm not going to give you a ton of detail just because I know I've talked to so many of you about this, but I think one thing I want to say, and again, I want Kyle to underscore this, but the cohort model that the SID program is structured around is unlike any cohort model I've experienced in other programs and other departments. It is such a family who resources each other, lifts each other up in hard times, challenges each other in good ways. I think because of the nature of the fact that you journey so long together in this particular program, you have so much life that happens while you're in it. It's almost indescribable, the value of the cohort model. And again, I'm not a student in the program, but it's just like, I'm so excited to talk about it. And Kyle, briefly, right now, what would you say about that?
Oh yeah, I mean it's huge. What's really cool, I mean, having like spouses and other people involved that, you know, they're not in the program either, but they become part of like the family, and I think it also, I mean, it does lead to difficulties. I mean, it's the family, so you have family issues, right?
Yeah.
And so these will come out in this, but it is so supportive. You move, all the years with that same team, with that same family, and yeah, I can't speak more highly of it. I think just the support in general that Fox provides from a faculty level, I felt it in undergrad and it continues on.
Thank you. Most of you are well aware of what the SID program is known for, our faith integration, and that piece is also integral when we talk about cultural competencies. So across the board as a clinician, understanding the role that faith, Christian faith, other religions play in the life of the client that you're working with is really, it's a cultural competency. So it's an important part for us personally as students in the program and faculty and staff, but also how it prepares you to work in the world is really important. Community mentoring model. We have, I believe, currently the highest rate of mentors to students across APA accredited programs in the country. So on average, our students have 6 or more, on average 6.1 mentors throughout the program. And these are, you're literally supported from all directions. From the time you're a first year and you're assigned a second year student, and as you walk in the door as a first year, you've got a built-in second year mentor who's gone just ahead of you in the program, and it's like they're there to greet you even before you start. It starts that way. And then of course your faculty, your advisor, your faculty mentor, I don't know how many mentors you would say that you've had, but it probably exceeds 6. But you're just incredibly well supported on that side, as well as that cohort model that we talked about. Our program combines in a really robust way clinical training and the research component. So I'm often surprised about how we can fit all of this in, we have, our clinical training opportunities are exceptional. There are more practicum sites than there are students each year to fill them. So practicum sites want to sell the glories of their site to you as a student because they want our SIDE students. There are so many opportunities. And when you're in your practicum phase, depends on where you are, you could stick with the same practicum for the time that you're in the program, but we often encourage you, if possible, to have a couple different practicums and explore the breadth of what that could bring you. We're going to actually get to this in another slide. Student outcomes. So we are proud of, historically, we've had 100% internship match rate, which is phenomenal. It draws a lot of students here. That alone draws prospective students to us. I think this stat has actually gone up, but at the time that we created this about a year ago, 80% of students were published by graduation, and that's a little bit higher at this point. 90% of graduates are licensed and employed as psychologists. That's a really powerful stat to process. The career opportunities, this doesn't even really begin to scratch the surface of what a PsyD can prepare you for. The 5 years of the program creates a foundation that is well-rounded and prepares you to work in such a variety of roles. Bethany had touched upon the fact that if your heart says, I want to counsel every day, I want to be a therapist, day in and day out, that's my end all be all, and that's what lights me on fire, you're gonna want to seek a counseling education, become a licensed counselor. If you think that there might be various roles that you might want to have while you're in your career, a PsyD would be something to very carefully consider. We talked about this quite a bit with this crew, the admission requirements, so I'll dive into specific questions that you might have about this, but I don't know, I feel like we've covered this a lot. Any questions about the admissions requirements that we haven't already covered? Talked about this quite a bit with most of you. The PsyD interview process. Candidates are invited over 2 dates, or they have a choice of dates in February. This year it'll be February 6th and February 14th. And those are full day events. Part of that is a one-on-one an individual interview that you'll have with a faculty member and a PsyD student. So again, we're involving the students in our admissions process in every part of it because we so value the student experience and voice. So you'll have, as part of your day, an individual interview. But much of your day at a PsyD interview event is going to be getting to dive deeper into what we offer. There's breakout sessions and workshops, and you'll hear from student interest groups. You'll hear from student leaders in the program. You'll hear from our multicultural and diversity clubs. You'll get to hear more about us during interview day, so it's not all us interrogating you. You get lots of illustration of who we are as a community and what we offer through interview day. And if you're invited to interview for the program, there is an optional pizza night, an informal night prior to your interview day. I would strongly encourage you, if you're invited to interview, to come to pizza night, even though it's optional and not required. It's a great way for you to break the ice, connect with PsyD students. There are no faculty or staff at pizza night. It's just you, your family or significant other, they're welcome to come, and PsyD students who interact with you. And we'd love to have you there. So if you're feeling like, I'm too nervous because I interview the next day, come. You won't be disappointed. You'll be glad you did it. So that's kind of an informal part of interview day. We mentioned earlier all of our programs, we'd love to have visitors, and the very best way to do that is just simply to connect individually with the counselor for the program you're looking at. Because although if you dropped by, we would do our best to accommodate you, it might not mean that we can get you into a class visit, especially one that you want to sit in on. We might not be able to.
not be there.
We might not be
Might
there.
with another student.
Yep, so give us some lead time, but do come and visit classes. Let us set up a great, let us host you and set up a great visit for you. And all three of us love to do that. We do that quite a bit. Here
Oh, no,
is
that's-
not Christina Schmidt, but I love this very much. I wish they were both here at this moment.
She looks so handsome.
My bad.
Very handsome.
His email address is right.
Yes, Michael Simmons. So if you'd like to connect about social work, Michael Simmons. I love it. They would both giggle.